Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, the sequel to a spin-off of the Shrek franchise. And you would think that this film will be mediocre, and this can be seen in the opening weekend of this film. Maybe it had too much competition with Avatar 2, The Way of Water as well, but at the same time, the opening weekend for this film was really low at $12 million. So a lot of people were not intending to go watch this film. Then you watch the movie because the second weekend did very well, and it overall did very well at the box office, and there were a lot of good reviews for this film, surprisingly. And you'll be really bewildered by this information at first. And then you go watch the film and you realize, holy shit man, this film really slaps! Pa! Yo, what's good you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm K Productions. I talk mainly about entertainment. Now let's get straight into the video. Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, the greatest animated sequel I've ever seen. I would be lying if I said I had a lot of expectations before watching this film, because then again, I'm not a huge fan of the Shrek franchise. They are great for what they are, but they have been falling off in the later films. And Puss in Boots was a great film, the first film, but I had no hope for a second film, for a sequel, because it's a spin-off. And they are making a sequel out of it, so it felt like they're just trying to make money. So they're just trying to make a mediocre film. That's what I thought. In fact, I didn't even want to watch this film. And the reviews came out and they were raving about how great this film really was. So I got a bit curious and I went to watch it, and I must say, it blew my mind away. Not only is this the best DreamWorks film that I've seen in a while, but it's also one of the best animated films that I've seen in a while as well. How the hell did a sequel to a spin-off of the Shrek franchise become so good? How the hell is this movie so good? It's one of the situations where it's just really unexpected. Nobody really expects it to happen. Now before we continue, I just want to say, of course there's going to be spoilers for this movie, because it's an analysis kind of video. So if you haven't seen the film, then I don't know why you're watching this video. If you have seen the film, continue watching this video. So the plot of the film is this. We follow Puss as he's down to his last life. You know how cats have 9 lives? Yeah. Now he's down to his last life, and now death is after him, and he wants to get back his life. So he goes to find his wishing star and wish his lives back. Now let's talk about the first thing, the antagonist.
You're death.
The antagonist in this film is excellent. Death is an excellent antagonist. I've done a how you should make an antagonist video before, and Death was one of the examples I use. He's an excellent one. He's scary, he's not overused, and he has a deeper connection to Puss, our main protagonist. And I've said this before, antagonist does not equal to villain. In Death Note, L is an antagonist, but is he a villain? No. In here, rather than just feeling like your generic villain that you see in animated films or comic book films, he's actually more of an antagonist. The villain of a story is just somebody who chooses to do bad things, maybe kill people or do some damage, and you ask yourself, why is he the opposing force, somebody who opposes our protagonist? What's the connection between them? That's what you will be asking, because a villain isn't necessarily an antagonist, although sometimes they can be, but sometimes they are not. And in this film, Death actually feels like an antagonist. Puss laughs in the face of death. He is not afraid of death, and he doesn't value his life enough because he has 9 lives. And that's where Death comes in, because he is meant for Puss, our main protagonist, because he embodies what Puss is not afraid of. He has a deeper connection to Puss. For the first time ever, he makes Puss afraid of death. He makes Puss value his life. And not only that, in the beginning of the film, he also says that not a single blade has touched me, or something along that. And for the first time, he makes Puss bleed as well. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with showing a bit of blood in an animated film. And the way that blood was handled, holy shit man, it's scary. And almost every shot that Death is in, he's actually really scary. I get that some people think that animated films are for kids only, but look, there's nothing wrong with scaring kids a bit, alright? Because only if you scare them a bit, they will take it seriously. If it's just your jolly movie, then they're just gonna forget about it the next day, probably. It's nothing memorable, but this film will stay in their minds because it was an experience for them. And not only for kids, this film is targeted at adults also. DreamWorks knows that animation is not just for kids, it's for adults as well. They understand it very well. I just hope Disney grows to understand that as well. And he actually poses a threat to Puss, not just physically, but mentally as well, and emotionally. I mean, Puss in Boots was getting some anxiety, some heart attacks, and wow, that's some emotional and mental damage right there. Not only did he physically overpower him, but also mentally and emotionally as well. Then let's talk about the side characters. Each and every side character was well developed. Perito, the dog that follows them on this journey, he's been through some rough things in the past where somebody put him down this salt and threw him into the river or something, and he grew out of that salt, which is really tragic. And he really just wants some friends, and that's where he meets Puss. Despite going through all these rough experiences, these tragic experiences, he takes it positively and always smiles. He also wants to be a therapy dog to help people with therapy. And he also teaches us a lesson that there's nothing wrong with just having one life. Just value that life. And that's why he teaches our main protagonist Puss, and that's why he teaches us as the audience as well. We should value our lives. Kitty Soft Paws, who was actually developed in the first film, but they continue to develop her more in this film. She has some trust issues where she doesn't trust a lot of people, and in this film she grows to trust more people. Goldilocks, the character voiced by Florence Pugh, she wants to have a real human family because she feels that she doesn't fit into this bear family, and that's her wish. Jack Horner, he's a horrible person, but also as someone with a tragic past where he's being outshined by somebody else, although all he wanted was fame and wanted to be recognized. So he got outshined by Pinocchio of all people, and yeah, that really was his tragic past, but he's really an evil guy. You see, so many of the side characters are so compelling in this film. Let's talk about protagonist Puss in Boots. They built this guy to be invincible. Like, he's this fearless hero who can never be defeated. That's how they built him up in the beginning of the film. And then later you see he actually gets defeated. He's no longer a fearless hero. He fears, and he's not a hero. He ran away from somebody who tried to kill him, who tried to hurt him. And that's where the film really gets even more interesting, mainly because we see our main protagonist struggle a lot, both physically and emotionally. And that's so compelling to see. I see a lot of protagonists now, especially in the Marvel films, especially Mary Sue's, who don't even need to struggle so much. They just, bam, finish it in an instant. That's really cheating, by the way. But in this film, Puss, look at him. He's going through some growth. He's learning some things that, despite having that one life only, it's worth valuing that one life. One life is enough. And that's really a great lesson. Let's talk about themes. In my opinion, without themes, there is no story, and this film has some excellent themes. Yes, it has themes about friendship and family, which we have seen in other animated films, but they also have themes like anxiety and valuing your life more, and taking things positively despite all the bad things that's happened to your past, and so many other more mature themes which you don't see a lot in animated films, especially those of Disney. These themes, they feel that kids would not be able to relate to, but I like how DreamWorks took the initiative here. They took the risk and went for these themes which were more mature. I really appreciate it. And then we end the film where our characters go to far, far away to meet Shrek. They did an excellent job with this. I thought this film was impossible to be this good, but they pulled it out somehow, and I can't wait for the future of this franchise. That's all I have for this video. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time. You guys are always the best.